Bar hole mode is used to perform consistent checks of bar holes when tracking down underground gas leaks. When the gas tracer is in bar hole mode, only the combustible and oxygen channels are displayed. If a gas tracer is intended for bar hole testing, it is shipped with bar hole mode enabled so that the operator must choose which operational mode to use when the unit is turned on. Units intended for bar hole testing are typically calibrated to methane. In addition, the unit must have a % volume combustible sensor installed. Connect the sample hose to the gas tracer's quick connect inlet fitting. Screw the bar hole probe onto the sample hose's threaded fitting. Press and briefly hold down the power enter button. The normal mode select screen displays. Use the air or shift buttons to scroll to the bar hole mode select screen. This screen will only appear if the LB mode setting in maintenance mode is set to BH. Press and release the power enter button to begin the bar hole mode startup sequence. If no button is pressed for 20 seconds, the unit will proceed into whichever mode is displayed. If lunch break is turned on in maintenance mode, press and release the power enter button to continue accumulating time-weighted average, TWA, peak readings, and time in operation from the last time the gas tracer was used. The short-term exposure limit, STEL, reading is reset each time the gas tracer is turned on. Press and release the display adjust button to reset the accumulation of these measurements. If you do not press the power enter or display adjust button within 5 seconds, the gas tracer automatically resumes accumulating the TWA peak readings and time in operation. If the calibration reminder item in maintenance mode is turned on, the screen that appears next depends on how the calibration expired item is set. If the unit is due for calibration and the cal expired is set for confirm to use, then the cal limit prompt will display and the alarm LEDs and buzzer will pulse several times. When this occurs, press and release the reset silence button. You will hear a beep and the startup sequence will continue. If the unit is due for calibration and cal expired is set to not use, then the fail prompt is displayed. At the same time, the alarm LEDs and buzzer will pulse several times. The fail prompt will remain on the display until the unit is turned off. The gas tracer cannot be used until a complete calibration has been performed. If calibration is not due or the cal expired is set to no effect, then the display will indicate when the next calibration is due. If the bump reminder item in maintenance mode is turned on, the screen that appears next depends on how the bump expired item is set. If the unit is due for bump testing and the bump expired is set for confirm to use, then the test and bump limit prompt will display and the alarm LEDs and buzzer will pulse several times. When this occurs, press and release the reset silence button. You will hear a beep and the startup sequence will continue. If the unit is due for bump testing and bump expired is set to not use, then the fail prompt is displayed. At the same time, the alarm LEDs and buzzer will pulse several times. The fail prompt will remain on the display until the unit is turned off. The gas tracer cannot be used until a complete bump test has been performed. If bump testing is not due or bump expired is set to no effect, then the display will indicate when the next bump test is due. If the ID display setting in maintenance mode is on, the user ID screen will appear for a few seconds. The station ID screen will appear for a few seconds. Once the normal startup sequence begins, you will see several screens indicating the status or settings of the instrument. The first screen is the date and time screen, which appears for a few seconds. Next, the battery voltage and alarm pattern screen is displayed. This screen displays the current battery voltage and the alarm logic. A D appearing before the V indicates alkaline batteries are used in the instrument. ALH indicates the latching alarms. ALA indicates self-resetting alarms. The remaining screens are only displayed for about a second each. You will see the full-scale values for each channel, the low alarm point for each channel, the high alarm point for each channel, followed by the STEL and TWA set points for carbon monoxide. If the HC range is set to percent volume only, you will have to press and release the Reset Silence button for each of the previous screens to acknowledge that there are no alarms when the unit is operated in that fashion. If the gas tracer experiences a sensor failure during startup, a screen will indicate which sensor has failed. If you wish to continue, press and release the Reset Silence button to acknowledge the failure. The instrument will then proceed to bar hole mode. Once in bar hole mode, the gas reading for the failed sensor will be replaced by 3 dashes. The failed sensor should be replaced as soon as possible. If the auto zero adjustment function is turned on, the gas tracer will automatically perform a fresh air adjustment at the end of the startup sequence. Make sure that you are in a known fresh air environment, free of combustible or toxic gases and of normal oxygen content, which is 20.9%. If the fresh air adjustment is successful, the unit will proceed to normal measuring mode. If one or more of the sensors fail the fresh air adjustment, the display will indicate which sensor or sensors have failed. Press and release the Reset Silence button to proceed to normal measuring mode. The gas reading for the failed sensor or sensors will be replaced by 3 dashes. Any sensors that fail the automatic fresh air adjustment should be replaced as soon as possible. The gas tracer is now operating in bar hole mode. The methane and oxygen channels are displayed along with the battery charge level. In bar hole mode, you can initiate sampling for a fixed time period to monitor for methane and oxygen in a bar hole. The factory set time is 30 seconds. At the end of the sampling period, the pump will shut off and the peak methane and minimum oxygen levels monitored during the sample period will be displayed. Bar hole mode also allows you to initiate an air purge cycle to purge gas from the gas tracer after a sample is taken. While in bar hole mode, you may select or change the current station ID by pressing the Shift button and Display Adjust button and releasing when you hear a beep. The current station ID will be displayed. If you wish to exit the station ID select screen without making any changes, press and release the Reset Silence button. Use the Air and Shift buttons to scroll to the desired station ID and press and release Power Enter. The unit will return to the bar hole measuring screen. Take the gas tracer to the bar hole that will be tested. Insert the probe into the bar hole and press and release the Power Enter button. The pump will turn on and the sample period will begin, with the sample period counting down in seconds in the lower right corner of the display. The methane channel will be displayed in percent volume. The methane channel's reading will also be displayed in graph format on the left side of the screen. If you wish to cancel the measurement, press and release the Reset Silence button. After 15 seconds of sampling, if the combustible gas reading is less than 5% volume, the combustible gas channel will automatically begin displaying in percent LEL. At the end of the sample period, the pump will shut off and the buzzer will sound. Then the peak methane reading and the minimum oxygen reading for the sample period will be displayed. The peak methane reading will also be visually displayed on the graph along the left side of the screen. If a high concentration of methane is encountered, a fresh air purge can be performed to purge the hose, probe, and gas tracer of gas before the next bar hole test. To perform a purge, do the following. Remove the probe from the bar hole so the instrument will draw fresh air. Press and release the Display Adjust button. The display will now indicate purge along the bottom of the screen, and the purge time will begin counting down from 30 seconds in the lower right corner of the display. If you wish to cancel the purge, press and release the Reset Silence button. When the purge is complete, the screen will return to the initial bar hole mode screen. Repeat this process for any other bar holes that need to be tested. To exit bar hole mode and return to the mode select screen at any time, press and hold the shift button for 5 seconds. To turn off the instrument, press and hold the power enter button. The unit will initiate a bar hole measurement. Keep holding the power enter button. The buzzer will pulse for about 3 seconds and turn off will appear at the bottom of the screen. Release the button when turn off disappears.